Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Daily for Tuesday, January 21st, 2025. National Granola Bar Day and a whole new America. 1/21/25 if you're keeping notes. And as I said yesterday, a day for the history books. If you do keep a journal, you had plenty to write about last night after a simply amazing and very historical day, as all presidential inaugurations are, but this is quite different. Very different in many, many ways.
This is a hell of a day we're having, right?
Congratulations to the entire Trump family, the Vance family. Congratulations to former Florida Senator Marco Rubio as well, who was confirmed by the Senate yesterday as Secretary of State, becoming the very first official member of President Trump's second cabinet. Congratulations to Governor Kristi Noem, who's being advanced by the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee to a full Senate vote to become the next Secretary of Homeland Security. There are more confirmation hearings happening today, which I'll get into a little bit later. And congratulations to the Ohio State University beating Notre Dame 34-23 to win the college football national championship. Vice President Vance, an Ohio State alum, is happy about that. And no, he did not go to the game. No offense to the Buckeyes, but I was rooting for Notre Dame. They lost, as did every NFL team that I wanted to win in the playoffs over the weekend as well. As promised during his campaign and in his second inaugural address yesterday, President Trump declared a national emergency at the southern border, signed dozens of sweeping day one executive orders, including one that will end birthright citizenship, withdraw the U.S. from the World Health Organization, and the Paris Climate Accord. The left is absolutely losing it already. He also signed executive orders that will freeze all federal hiring except for the military, and
As of today, it will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female. This week, I will reinstate any service members who were unjustly expelled from our military for objecting to the COVID vaccine mandate with full back pay. And I will sign an order to stop our warriors from being subjected to radical political theories and social experiments while on duty. It's going to end immediately. Our armed forces will be freed to focus on their sole mission, defeating America's enemies.
That's a bit of President Trump's 30-minute inauguration address, which you probably watched yesterday or at least have seen and heard highlights from, so I'm not going to play that. But you may not have seen or heard his speech at the Commander-in-Chief Ball last night, which I will play some of in a few minutes. First, Greg Kelly on President Trump taking action, as promised, on those that have been convicted in connection with the events of January 6th, 2021. Something Greg Kelly has continued to investigate and report on from the very beginning.
President Trump did not have to do what he did just a few moments ago for the January 6ers. Conservative media, some were calling for it, not everybody, to be honest. Only the most diehard, quite frankly, among us, right, who refused to forget. Now, there were people who were telling President Trump, you really don't have to do it. You don't have to commute those sentences. You don't have to issue those pardons. He did. 1,600 people. 1,600 and counting. He's reviewing the cases. A handful have to be reviewed still, but 1,600 people. We have all kinds of folks who walked out of federal prison tonight. It happened. It's happening. One of the very first things he did, as soon as he walks in the Oval Office, he signs the pardon. Joe Biden pardoned his corrupt family. Donald Trump hardened, vulnerable, not very powerful, regular, ordinary patriots. And it's awesome.
First, we have a list of pardons and commutations relating to events that occurred on January 6, 2021.
Okay, and how many people is this?
I think this order will apply to approximately 1,500 people.
So this is January 6th, and these are the hostages. Approximately 1,500 for a pardon.
Yes.
Full pardon.
Full pardon or commutation?
Full pardon. We have about 6 commutations in there where we're doing further research.
Okay.
Nice to see you again.
And you, sir.
So this is a big one. Anything you want to explain about this? We hope they get them. We hope they come out tonight. Frankly, we're expecting it. Approximately 1,500 people. Six commutations.
And they have started to come out of prison tonight. Now remember, these people were over-persecuted, over-prosecuted, harassed. Remember the FBI stormtroopers raiding the home of our friend Christopher Cuny, a United States Marine who never harmed anybody. On January 6th, he didn't break anything, he didn't hurt anybody, he didn't touch a law enforcement official. And look at that. 7 stormtroopers show up at his house. A tank in the front of the house, a tank in the back of the house. Tonight, he is a free and clear man, and so is Enrique Tarrio. Enrique Tarrio, the head of the Proud Boys, not a white supremacist, one of the biggest media lies of the past 4 years. Just a guy who is being a guy, exercising his constitutional rights, who, to the extent he did anything wrong, it was a setup, a total and complete setup. This is glorious. In my opinion, absolutely glorious. I am thrilled. And I am thrilled that President Trump is president once again.
That is Newsmax host Greg Kelly. If you watch Greg Kelly Reports or listen to this podcast regularly, Enrique Tarrio's mother was on right after Trump won re-election in November. Well, she's been on several times, but she was on right after the election saying she believed Donald Trump was going to get her son out of jail. Enrique was the head of the Proud Boys, but wasn't even at the Capitol or in Washington, D.C. on January 6, 2021. And was sentenced to 22 years in prison. 22 years for seditious conspiracy and other charges. He's from Miami. He's Cuban. He's not a white supremacist. He's not even white. His family released a statement saying he is expected to arrive at Miami International Airport around 6:30 tonight after being released. Statement ended with, quote, "We thank you for being with us. The golden era has arrived," end quote. Florida Congressman Carlos Gimenez, one of the many who attended yesterday's inauguration, spoke about it this morning with Wake Up America.
I know you were there yesterday to witness the president's inauguration. What is your biggest takeaway from January 20th, 2025?
My biggest takeaway that it's a brand new day for America, and our national nightmare is over because President Joe Biden is no longer president of the United States, and we have Donald Trump as president of the United States, and he's taken bold action, decisive action. Look, I probably would have made it really simple. I probably would have rescinded everything that Joe Biden ever did because Joe Biden has proven to be the worst president in U.S. history. And so I know he's signed a bunch of, I said before he's going to have a stack that big of executive orders, and I think I was wrong. He's actually stacked that big. And so it was great to see, and common sense, direction that he's going to take our country in and put America first, where Joe Biden obviously didn't put America first, he put America last.
Yeah, Congressman, I mean, you mentioned it, but I mean, really, it's usual in politics. You say, I'm going to do this on day one, or you make all of these promises. And for many, it's like, okay, I've got 4 years or 2 years to get this done. He didn't wait even like a couple of hours to get it done. Hundreds of executive orders, including one that hits really close to home for you, reversing Joe Biden's decision, reinstating Cuba as a national state sponsor of terrorism. You're the only Cuban-born member of Congress. What's your reaction to the president's swift decision to do that?
Look, I was just happy that he was able to do it so quickly. There was some thought that he'd have to go through some steps in order to do it. But, Joe Biden just at the last moment does this after repeatedly, claiming that he wasn't going to do it, or his administration people were saying that he wasn't going to do it. And sure enough, he did it. Look, again, I've been saying this for 4 years. You never listen to what Joe Biden says. You always watch what he does. And everything he does is against American interests. And that's just another piece of that puzzle of putting America last, putting America's enemies' interests first. It's a new day here, not only in Washington, but around the nation and around the world. America, has a new leader. We're going in a different direction. And President Trump is, going to reestablish, the preeminence of America around the world. And frankly, this day couldn't happen fast enough.
Yeah, and we know that Joe Biden was very busy in those few hours before he left office with those preemptive pardons for his family, Dr. Anthony Fauci, General Milley, the January 6th committee. But let's take a trip down memory lane to December of 2020, when some Democrats, including your former colleague in Congress, Adam Schiff, were quick to criticize Donald Trump when they thought he would be pardoning members of his family. Take a listen to this.
Have you ever heard of somebody getting a preemptive pardon who was innocent of all crime? Who's just an innocent person? Have you ever heard of that? Just somebody getting a blanket pardon and they're an innocent person?
But no, it's the president's own family. It's people that have been covering up for the president in addition to his own family. In the case of Roger Stone, it's someone who lied to help cover up, or Michael Flynn, who lied to help cover up. And so there is a self-interest at play as well.
Ooh, Congressman, that did not age well. What do you make of that?
Look, the Democrats always accuse the Republicans of doing exactly what they're doing. All right, it's a preemptive strike because hey, we're doing this. Why don't we tell the world that the Republicans are doing it? And so we look like we're really clean. And then Adam Schiff, for God's sakes, come on. I'm surprised that the president didn't give him preemptive, pardon. There's some things that are pretty questionable about some of the things he did when he was here in the House. And so, look, everybody predicted he was going to pardon his family members. Why? Because there are so many signs that point to some shady dealings, during his time as vice president. That's why he went all the way back to 2014. I agree with, I think my colleague Chip Roy said that we need to bring them to the House and testify. I'm not sure about testifying because they're just going to say, gee, I don't know why he pardoned me. But we need to look into exactly why is it that he pardoned them, preemptively and all the way back to 2014. Look, you can get a pardon. It doesn't mean that we can't look into it. It also doesn't mean that charges can't be brought against you and that you can be prosecuted and have that on your record. And yet, okay, fine, you're pardoned. There's nothing we can do about it. But America needs to know what happened, the truth. The world needs to know what happens, the truth. And history needs to know exactly what happened during these 4 years and his previous time as vice president.
Florida Congressman Carlos Gimenez on Wake Up America with Charlotte McBride and Mark Lotter this morning. The good news, as with Hunter Biden as well, now that they've been pardoned, if they're called for questioning, which they likely will be, they cannot invoke their Fifth Amendment privilege, something I'm sure we'll be hearing more about from Professor Dershowitz or Judge Napolitano and Judge Napolitano today or in the very near future. Rob Schmitt, host of Rob Schmitt Tonight, spoke with James Comer, chair of the House Oversight Committee, who has led the investigation into the Biden family.
Kentucky Congressman James Comer joins us now here on the set. Sir, it's good to have you here. It's a good day. But there was so much news coming up during that inauguration. I mean, Biden effectively pardons like the rest of his family. And we get that 20 minutes before power changes and Biden leaves. We get these alerts on our phone as we're all paying attention to this inauguration. We just see these sweeping preemptive pardons, right? And going back like 10 years, just like with Hunter. That's wild.
It's wild. He pardoned his whole family. So he's pardoned 7 Biden family members. Our investigation found that 10 Biden family members, including Joe Biden, received money through the influence peddling schemes that were laundered through a series of shell companies and then deposited in Biden family members' bank accounts through incremental payments. This is an admission of guilt. Joe Biden lied to the American people. He said he would not pardon his family. You go back even further, he said he had no idea what his family did for a living. He said he never met any of these people. Our investigation proved he met all of the people. The Irish whistleblowers testified that they never paid any taxes on this money. It's the biggest public corruption story in my lifetime, and today was the exclamation point by Joe Biden pardoning his entire family preemptively.
I can't believe that you're right. It is. Yeah. It's effectively an admission, and it's also an admission because it's so obvious that the story was true. Mm-hmm. I mean, your investigation. I mean, we're talking about bank records from major banks, major U.S. banks. These are just things that can't lie, and it doesn't matter that it was never reported on by the mainstream media, which is again just another ridiculous side of that story. Is that a factual investigation into clear corruption by the president and the first family, and it just never went anywhere with the media. But the fact that, I mean, you had all, I mean, I remember that chart that just showed all that money coming out of China. And then it just breaks up into all of these shell. How many shell companies is there? Most people don't know what a shell company is. And then it goes to all these family members, and now they all get pardons.
Mm-hmm. He had about 26 LLCs. 20 of them were shells. They didn't produce a good or service. Yeah. And I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt on the other 6. Yeah. But 20 did nothing but transfer money in and out from other LLCs in this web. This was a sophisticated...
To launder money.
To launder money.
To conceal the source and destination of money.
Not my words. Yeah. 6 different banks, when they filed those suspicious activity reports with the Treasury Cabinet, that's where the banks alerted the federal government that they fear their clients committing a financial crime. The 6 biggest banks in America all testified to the Treasury that they feared and they believed strongly that the Biden family were committing a host of financial crimes.
I know that you have probably gotten tired of hearing Congressman Comer and Jim Jordan both talk about the Biden's crime investigation over the last year without really seeing any action, right? We've heard that. But did you hear what he said about the banks? I'm even going to play it again.
Not my words. 6 different banks, when they filed those suspicious activity reports with the Treasury Cabinet, that's where the banks alerted the federal government that they fear their clients committing a financial crime. The 6 biggest banks in America all testified to the Treasury that they feared and they believed strongly that the Biden family were committing a host of financial crimes.
So the 6 biggest banks in the country telling the committee that they believe the Biden family committed a host of financial crimes. 22 LLCs. A lot of Italian people are not going to like this, and a lot of New Yorkers are not going to like this. But I'm Italian from New York. I know a lot of people who have done a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? I don't know anybody ever that's had 22 LLCs, okay? Remember in Trump's first presidency, he chose not to prosecute Hillary Clinton after the lock her up chant through the whole campaign, right? Maybe this time around, he'll choose to pursue Joe Biden after the crooked Joe Biden comments throughout the whole campaign. I said I was going to play Trump's 3rd or 4th speech of the day yesterday from the Commander-in-Chief ball last night. So here is some of it.
Well, thank you very much. This is a great honor. We have a lot of Space Force here, by the way. A lot of Space Force. We're very proud of Space Force. But there's nowhere else I'd rather be tonight than with some of the greatest American patriots of all, the men and women of the United States military. Thank you very much. This is quite a gathering, huh? It's a celebration because we're going to turn our country around. We're going to make America great again. I've had no higher privilege in life than to serve as your commander-in-chief, not once, but twice. And you're incredible, and the people of our country respect you, and they love you so much. You don't see it, you don't hear about it too much, but they love you just so much you wouldn't even believe it. So thank you very much. They're honored to have you. We're joined this evening by the service members from every branch of the U.S. Armed Forces, Army, Navy, Air Force, Coast Guard, Marines, and Space Force. And I salute you all. Let me also thank our incredible military spouses, what you have to put up with. They put up with a lot. And family members here tonight. We have so many and so many brilliant families. And you do more than anyone else to support our nation's heroes. And on behalf of every American, I want to thank you very much. We have some people with us tonight. You know, we have the head of the Republican Party, and we won. And then she said, all right, Dad, I think that's enough for me now. Let's win and let's go to something else. She wants to get back to her beautiful babies, but she's married to a guy known as my son, Eric Trump. And Laura was essentially chairman, along with Michael Whatley, of the Republican Party, and they were tough. They weren't going to stand for any nonsense, and they did a fantastic job, and we won every single swing state. We won we won the popularity. We were the most popular candidate in a long time.
President Trump at the Commander-in-Chief Ball last night. On Capitol Hill today, Senate confirmation hearings for the president's cabinet nominees are going to continue with New York Representative Elise Stefanik. Ask her. She knows what I'm talking about. 22 LLCs. All right, the choice, she's the choice for UN ambassador. And then former Georgia Congressman Doug Collins, Trump's pick for Secretary of Veteran Affairs, is being questioned by the Senate as well. And what exactly is going on with Vivek Ramaswamy and DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency? That's what a lot of people are asking today. And there's a couple of different scenarios floating around that the president and some other Republicans didn't like a comment that Vivek had made in reference to the American culture. You'll be hearing about that, but it's mainly because it appears that Vivek Ramaswamy is now going to run for Ohio governor, which is his home state. Oh, so he was probably happy that the Buckeyes won as well. But Vivek Ramaswamy on day one out from the DOGE committee, and we will see if he does indeed run for governor of Ohio when Mike DeWine is term limited out. He obviously would not be able to do both. On Wall Street, stocks did open in the green with renewed optimism of the Trump presidency, but some hesitation over his continued threats of tariffs, which he mentioned again last night. The Dow was up to close to 200 points this morning. The NASDAQ up over 100 as the markets opened. Be sure to keep up with all of today's news and breaking developments. There will be plenty of them on Newsmax, N2, and Newsmax.com. It all begins each and every day with Wake Up America, National Report, Bianca De La Garza, American Agenda, Carl Higbee on Frontline, On the Record with Greta Van Susteren, Rob Schmitt, Finnerty, Greg Kelly, and much more. And make sure you're streaming on Newsmax Plus so you can watch anywhere, anytime, and get all of the commentary from all of your favorite hosts and guests. Go to NewsmaxPlus.com for more info. I'm Tony Marino at radio_Marino. This is the Newsmax Daily at Newsmax. Enjoy the rest of your day and keep on fighting the good fight.
News breaks every minute, every day. You need the app, the Newsmax app. Find it free on your smartphone store. Then watch us anytime, anywhere.
It's Jerry Callahan from The Callahan Show. You can listen to us every day. We react to the latest news, politics, sports, and all the madness in the world. I'll give you my opinion with a little edge, a little attitude. I'm an unapologetic right-winger, trapped behind enemy lines in deep blue Boston, so I'm used to taking on the mainstream media mob. You can hear us anywhere you get your podcast, or you can listen every day at newsmax.com/listen.
Information. Truth is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real.